Okay, let's take a look at C++ and classes and methods. So here we have our main program on the left and a class.h file on the right. So a couple of points to note with this class. We can see we have a class named rectangle, some private member variables here, width and length, and we have some public methods here, some get and set methods. And we notice that the get width, get length, and get area methods have this constant keyword to the right of the definition of the function. So what does that do? Well, this specifies that the function, these functions here, will not change any data stored in the calling object. So if you write code in the function that changes the object's data, the compiler will generate an error. So these functions can't change the statements within these functions here, can't change the values of the member variables, the data. So that's what that does. We also see this double colon operator. That's called the scope resolution operator. So to define a function outside the class definition, which we have done with these functions here because the class definition closes there, we have to declare it inside the class. So we have to declare these functions inside the class and then define the functions outside of the class. So we're defining what these functions do outside of the class here, down here. So that's done with this scope resolution operator. So you can see here each of these methods has the scope resolution operator between the class name and the method. So what it says is basically these methods belong to this class, which is here. So these methods, they're pretty basic. They just basically either set the value of width and length or actually get the value of or return the value of width and length. So you can see here set width, we pass a double into it as a parameter, and that supplies the width variable. Notice we don't have to use the dot operator for these variables to access it here. That is because the variables, this notation here causes the variables to be a member of this class. So we have set length, get width. Notice there's no values being passed in as an argument. We also have the constant here as well. So if we have the constant here, we also have to have the constant here at this location as well. Otherwise we'll get a error. So these ones, get methods, just return to the calling function the value within width variable, length, and that. Now get area does a computation. So get area, when it is called, it'll take the width and take the length and multiply the two together and return this whole statement. So it'll return the product of width and length. So in this case it's calculating the area of a rectangle. So let's go over to the main program and look at how we define that. You can see here we've included the class here. Notice we're not using the angled brackets. We're using the quotation marks for a user defined class. This name here is the file name of this class. So we have our main program here. We're creating a box object from the rectangle class. We also have some local variables here. Print out to the screen, and another print out to the screen. Then we're getting some user input and assigning that user input to this variable, and it is of the double type. We're also now printing out another string and getting another user input and assigning it to that variable there, and it has the same data type. We're now going to use the object of the rectangle class and call the setWidth method, which will call this method here, and we're passing that user input into W, which will get assigned to width here. We're doing the same with setLength function. We're calling the setLength function here, and we're passing rect length into len there, which gets passed to length, the member variable here. Then we're going to display some information, so print in another string, and we're going to here call the getWidth function, which is here, and that's going to return the width that we have supplied it here. Put the cursor on a new line, and we're going to do the same with the getLength function. Call the getLength function here, and that's going to return the length here that we assigned it there. Then finally, we're going to call the getArea method down here, and as you can see, it's going to grab the width, the value stored in the width, which we supplied it here, and the value stored in the length, which we supplied it here, and it's going to multiply the two together and return the sum to the calling function, which is this location here. So that value is going to get replaced there. So if we take a look at the output for this program, it is simply this. That string there is from this one up here. Then we have the program waits for input. I've typed in 5 there, enter. Then it goes to the next line here, what is length? Waits for the user input, which I typed in 10. And then it's gone down to here and printed that string out there, which is that string there. Then it's printed this line out here, width, retrieved the width that I supplied it, 5, the length, 10, and then finally the area, retrieved the result, the return value from the getArea function, and 5 times 10 is 50.